The Celtic Twilight by W.B. Yeats. And fair, fierce women. Well, it's not so important how weak or strong or fair or frail or whatnot. It's more about character and what they do with their thing. But anyways, one day a woman that I know came face to face with heroic beauty, that highest beauty which Blake says changes least from youth to age, a beauty which has been fading out of the arts, since that decadence we call progress set voluptuous beauty in its place. She was standing at the window, looking over to Knocknaria, where Queen Maeve is thought to be buried, when she saw, as she has told me, the finest woman you ever saw traveling right across from the mountain and straight to her. The woman had a sword by her side and a dagger lifted up in her hand, and was dressed in white with bare arms and feet. She looked very strong, but not wicked, that is, not cruel. The old woman had seen the Irish giant, and though he was a fine man, he was nothing to this woman, for he was round and could not have stepped out so soldierly. For he was like Miss, a stated lady of the neighborhood, but she had no stomach on her, and was slight and broad in the shoulders, and was handsomer than any one you ever saw. She looked about 30. The old woman covered her eyes with her hands, and when she uncovered them, the apparition had vanished. The neighbors were wild with her, she told me, because she did not wait to find out if there was a message, for they were sure it was Queen Maeve, who often shows herself to the pilots. I asked the old woman if she had seen others like Queen Maeve, and she said, some of them have had their hair down, but they look quite different, like the sleepy-looking ladies one sees in the papers. Drug addicts? I don't know. Those with their hair up are like this one. The others have long white dresses, but those with their hair up have short dresses so that you can see their legs right up to the calf. After some careful questioning, I found that they wore what might very well be a kind of buskin. She went on, they are fine and dashing looking, like the men one sees riding their horses in 2s and 3s on the slopes of the mountains with their swords swinging. She repeated over and over, there is no such race living now, none so finely proportioned are the like, and they said, the present queen is a nice, pleasant-looking woman, but she is not like her. What makes me think so little of the ladies is that I see none as they be, meaning the spirits. When I think of her and the ladies now, they are like little children running about without knowing how to put their clothes on right. Is it the ladies? Why, I would not call them women at all. The other day, a friend of mine questioned an old woman in a Galway workhouse, about Queen Maeve, and was told that Queen Maeve was handsome and overcame all her enemies with a hazel stick, for the hazel is blessed, and the blessed weapon that can be got. You might walk the world with it, but she grew very disagreeable in the end, oh, very disagreeable. Best not to be talking about it. Best leave it between the book and the hearer. My friend thought the old woman had got some scandal about Fergus son of Roy, and Maeve in her head. And then I myself met once with a young man in the Burren Hills, who remembered an old poet who made his poems in Irish, and had met when he was young. The young man said one who called herself Maeve, and said she was a queen among them, and asked if he would have money or pleasure. He said he would have pleasure, and she gave him her love for a time, and then went from him. As ever he was very mournful. The young man had often heard him sing the poem of lamentation that he made, but could only remember that it was very mournful, and that he called her beauty of all beauties. And this, of course, was during the time of Queen Victoria. And the ideals of beauty, since the secularization, have kind of switched to values as a functional human being, to either somebody... you see this going on in India too, is that, the women who are just outrageously huge but still curvy were, we want a woman with 4 chins, and it's like, how can she even walk? It's like, well, it's not necessary for a woman to walk. It's like, okay, or we want women that are kind of so thin and dainty that we question their fertility, maybe. So, things have changed in that respect. But we also see a very clear incident, and all over the world you find figures, probably real human beings at some point, but them or their whole race of people, like those from the north and those from the east, that spread the the Norse culture and the the rest of the Celtic culture. These, you often had ideas of, our ancestors here are these powerful individuals, they were gods. But we can look, some of these things are projections of ideals.